you talked to me about this a bit. Every aim requires a sacrifice. It requires the sacrifice of all other aims.
Yeah, well, it's a two sacrifices.
Two sacrifices.
Is a good way to understand it, and we get this, I think, from the Yom Kippur sacrifice in Scripture, which is, there are two aspects of the Yom Kippur sacrifice, which is the sacrifice of atonement. That is that on the one hand, you remove that which is sinful, you remove that which doesn't fit.
Right. Which violates the aim.
Which is something like a cutting away.
Yeah.
But then there's also a manner in which you offer up the best part, right? And then that purifies the being. And so if you think of any aim that you encounter, right? On the one hand, you have to reject the things that don't fit, right? It's like if you're playing basketball, you're not playing ping pong. From the chaff. Yeah, you have to, all the things that don't fit with the aim. If you're studying for a test, then you study for the test and you're not, chatting on the phone. If you're doing other things, then you're mixing and you're let's say, you're creating confusion in the aim. So that's let's say the scapegoat part. You cut out that which doesn't fit. And then you also offer up what you're doing to the aim, which is beyond you. And that's important. Like, it's something that you're not gathering it into yourself. You're not giving it to you.
Well, that's where the higher meaning emerges as well, right? Because so I used to ask my students why they would do a given piece of work, why they were taking an exam. Well, I'm taking the exam because I need to pass the course. Well, why? Well, I'm passing the course because I have to finish the year, because I need to get a degree, because the degree is means to a job, and then after that, they often got kind of incoherent. It's like, well, why bother with the job? But there are answers to questions like that. It's like, well, to take up my responsible citizenship so that I can establish a family, so that I can build something lasting for the future, so that I can be a credit to myself, so that I can be a credit to other people.
Yeah.
That's the covenant, by the way, that God offers Abraham, right? And so there is this participation in higher and higher purposes. And one of the things that's so cool about that is that if you're participating in the highest possible aim, say towards the ineffable that caps this pyramidal structure, then the power of the divine ineffable saturates all the micro activities that you engage in, because it's imbued with rich purpose. And you could say that
makes everything glow. Like, it makes things glow, not in a physical way, but it makes things, it also infuses a kind of joy and a kind of peace. Right? Because
that's why Christ says that his burden is light, which is a very weird thing to say.
Yeah, because you realize that, whatever it is that I'm paying for here, because I know it's embedded in the highest good, or aiming towards a higher good, then I'm happy to do it. Right? Everybody's
because by definition, there isn't anything better you could do.
Yeah.
That's the ineffable, transcendent unity that Jacob swears to serve, and he identifies that with the God of his ancestors, which is with the one true God of his ancestors. Right?
Yeah, and you can understand that you can miss aim, right? And so we see that, for example, like, take someone who's studying his test or whatever, is doing this. You see it happen with people who become extremely wealthy. Maybe they have this idea that really what I want is to become rich. Like, that's the purpose. So they do all these things, they get there, but then once they get there, they've got a big choice to make, because it turns out that that's not the highest aim. It turns out that it doesn't reach high enough. So you can see it when people reach a certain level, a certain threshold of being very, very wealthy. Either they start to, sacrifice, let's say, start to give that towards higher purposes, right? Help others, start to use their power and their wealth in order to help others reach these goals, or they fall into a kind of
power-mad hedonism.
Yeah, exactly. And then they just become a caricature of themselves.
Then their wealth speeds their demise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.